Just sort of start off on the fact that immigrant citizens, immigrant voters, foreign-born voters have gone tremendously to the right on this issue in 2024 and 2025 versus where they were in 2020. Closest to or trust more in immigration. You go back to 2020. Democrats, get this, held a 32-point lead on this issue. Immigrant voters were in the Democratic camp. Jump forward to 2024, 2025. Look at that shift, a 40-point shift to the right among immigrant voters. Republicans now lead on this issue by 8 points over Democrats, more so than any other group that I could find. The group of voters who became more hawkish on immigration were in fact immigrants themselves, immigrants who are registered to vote in this country.
This is so ridiculous. This doesn't look like this is for they're protesting for ICE or anything. This is they're doing just for the looting the stores and everything. I saw they break into the Apple store, they break into the Adidas store. This is not they're doing protest.
Let me get this straight, just so I could clarify it. You don't want to go back to Mexico. You're protesting to stay away from Mexico, but you're waving the Mexican flag and you're waving it with pride. You're waving it in the United States, the country you're trying to stay in, the country you don't want to leave, but yet you're waving the Mexican flag with pride. Okay. That seems normal to you? That seems logical? That's not stupid at all? None of that's stupid. All right. You guys are an embarrassment to the Mexican culture and to the United States culture. You guys are an embarrassment to everybody around you, and you should be ashamed of yourself. Do better.
What's going on, everyone? It's Talks with Kenny here today. As you saw from the intro, legal migrants, legal American citizens who are first-generation Americans, right? People who were immigrants, came here the right way, decided to become voters, became American citizens. They trust Donald Trump more on the immigration issue than the Democrats, right? And the funny part is, I love how shocked, like who's shocked by this? If you did things the right way, right? Let's say you waited in line for 10 minutes and you see a bunch of people cutting the line and other people are letting them cut the line. Everyone knows how mad everyone who waited in line will be furious, correct? So now we're bringing it to illegal and legal migration. This is the dumb games that Democrats keep trying to play. They keep trying to blur the lines between a distinction with migrants. Legal migrants have a problem with illegal migrants because illegal migrants are seen as cutting the line, not doing the work, not doing it the right way, not coming in the right way. And these CNN analysts are shocked that illegal migrants are hawkish on the border because legal migrants, some spent 10 years waiting to get into the country properly. Just for some kid or some person or some family, they feel like they deserve America more, decided, okay, I'm going to take it upon my own hands and just barge in the door. And then you have weak Democrats allowing them to do so. And you see the weakness of the Democratic Party. Breaking by a whopping margin of 20 percentage points, Americans approve of Donald Trump sending in the National Guard to the LA riots, 59 to 39%, Insider Advantage poll says. This includes 56% of independents, high, and 37% of Democrats. Lawlessness. And this is not a good look for the Democratic Party, given all the incentives they have to make excuses for this stuff. And people are tired of it. And I want to play a clip of Joe Biden 2007, where he was against sanctuary cities. And I agree with Joe Biden. I agree with 2007 Joe Biden.
Would you allow these cities to ignore the federal law regarding the reporting of illegal immigrants and, in fact, provide sanctuary to these immigrants?
The reason the cities ignore the federal law is the fact that there is no funding at the federal level to provide for the kind of enforcement at the federal level you need. Pick up the New York Times today. There's a city not far across the river from my state that imposed the similar sanctions. And what they found out is, as a consequence of that, their city went in the dumps, in the dumpster. Stores started closing. Everything started to happen. And they changed the policy. Part of the problem is you have to have a federal government that can enforce laws. This administration has been fundamentally derelict in not funding any of the requirements that are needed even to enforce the existing law.
So, Senator Biden, yes or no, would you allow the cities to ignore the federal law?
No.
Okay.
Is Donald Trump potentially playing politics a little bit? Yeah, I think he probably is. I find it hard to believe the timing is not a coincidence that he had a bad end to last week. That said, and you know, this is politics in general, this both parties engage in stuff like that. I think the Democratic Party's kind of lost its mind. I think that you cannot tolerate that people are harming government property and harming federal officials executing the job that the president or the secretary of DHS or whomever has ordered them to do. Like, you just simply cannot do this. I mean, it's somewhat of a rough analogy, but in the civil rights era, when we went to try to enforce civil rights and local government officials said, we're not going to help you, we're not going to activate our National Guard, we're not going to do anything, we cheered that people went in to help execute the law. And I think that for us to say that, and I think one of the reasons Newsom and Bass at first didn't really move is they didn't really see a problem with it. Like, okay, there's a little bit of violence, okay, but like, this is okay because it's in the name of what we believe, which is to not help enforce immigration. We've always talked about at some point, good, kind of normal people are going to start getting swept up, whether it's the busboy or the people at Home Depot getting ready to try to go paint a house or pick up day labor work. But the bottom line is you cannot tolerate people in this country illegally or anybody banging on cars, throwing rocks at people. You just can't allow that. It looks like a third world country.
But I have a kid. If I know, and these people are having their children taken and their parents. What about my kids? If I lose my job, then what happens to my kids? I can't help you. But you can if you could just move out the way. You're not going to. How is this a peaceful protest if there's nothing peaceful? No, it's not.
How do y'all as white people feel about stopping a black woman from going to work?
Oh no, not work. I care so much.
So you don't care about stopping black people from going to work?
Look at this line that you guys are causing. I'm not causing no problems. I'm not trying to. We're just trying to leave.
Look at the laziness and entitlement of those white liberals. Look at them. Look at them. Look at him. Look at his face. Oh my God. I don't know why. When I talk about white liberals, these are the people I'm talking about. These people like this, sitting here lecturing me what I need to do, what I should care about, what I should prioritize. Lady trying to get her butt to work so she can provide for her children. And you got these white liberals laughing in her face. Oh, not a job. What? This is how lazy these people are. Just move out the way. That's all she asking. Just move out the way. And you think this is going to help your cause? The radical left are some of the dumbest people I ever seen in my life. They don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to articulate themselves. And this is why they hate debate, because they know they come across bad in most cases. This young, hardworking black mother pleading with lazy white liberals to stop protesting so she can get to work and feed her kids is the embodiment of everything wrong with the Democratic Party today. What would you say to this couple? Get the F out of the way, or I will run you out of the way. Like, people are tired of the protesting. It's the same thing that happens with these climate changers that here desecrating people's work of art, desecrating national monuments and all this stuff. People are tired, from legal migrants to American citizens. And breaking news, I don't know if you guys know this, a federal judge has just blocked Gavin Newsom's intent to revoke the federalization of the National Guard. Who would have thought? National Guard. And you think as a state governor, you have jurisdiction over the president? Make it make sense. But you know, common sense is not common for a party like that right now. And this is why Democrats don't deserve no votes. 2026, Democrats deserve no votes. That's no voting for blue. Please, please spare the country. We don't want to end up like California. 2007, Joe Biden warned you what will happen if you allow sanctuary city policies. Then I show you the reaction from a liberal about, hey, you can't deny reality, liberals, and pretend people and expect people to follow along with this stuff. And then I gave you actual footage of what's going on on the ground, exactly explaining exactly what's going on. And you surprised, and people on CNN are surprised that people support the National Guard being there, including 56% of independents. The CNN people are surprised that migrant citizens are supporting Donald Trump. And as usual, when the fire getting too hot, Democrats look for someone else to blame, right? We always go back to January 6th and ask why wasn't the National Guard called in? I can tell you why. Go back to Nancy Pelosi's own words. Medela Barnes, right? No. True or false? CNN law enforcement analysts, they said they didn't want the National Guard brought in. Boom. Like, make it make sense. You bring this narrative. Oh, why Donald Trump didn't call the National Guard for January 6th? He tried to. Y'all said no. Democrats freak out when confronted with hypocrisy over using National Guard in LA versus January 6th. They call for the National Guard for January 6th, but what's going on with the LA riots? The Democrats don't want to call for the National Guard. This is what they're getting confronted on. Here's footage. This is footage of Nancy Pelosi admitting she was responsible for the National Guard on January 6th. I take responsibility for not having them prepared for more. Right? But Democrats want you to gloss over all that. Instead, they want to play blame games.
What I find interesting is how come these networks aren't interviewing the protesters? There's a selective shielding going on. Yep. They know the protesters are the worst spokesman for the protest. So as the media, we'll take care of that for you. We don't need to interview them. We will be, your spokesman. And their delusional commentary alongside the videos of the rioters and the arson is a perfect juxtaposition of reality and ideology. You know, our eyes, we can see the destruction, but their mouths are trying to get into our ears, telling us it's mostly peaceful, but there's no better persuasion than the visual. Every video strengthens Trump's position and reminds us how wrong the media was on everything from the summer of love to the fall of Biden. A little seasonal pun there. But let's get to Stelter and all these other losers. Do you ever wonder who the media is talking to? It's not the public. They no longer watch or believe or care what these people have to say. The media is talking to the media. CNN, MSNBC, they are reduced to being the homeless man muttering to his reflection in a CVS window. When he nods, so does his reflection. But they can't see this. It's no longer a blind spot. It's a complete total eclipse. And probably the biggest change in culture is the emancipation of the public from the legacy media. We are free from these zombies.
And you wonder why Fox News leads all the news media on coverage. Look at that coverage. That's the kind of coverage we want CNN to do, MSNBC to do, right? Acknowledge the reality. Look what the hell is going on. Everybody and their mom sees what's going on. Majority of Americans support what Donald Trump is doing with the National Guard and what the media is doing. Spewing crap for their echo chamber. Careful. Those videos and images may be 2 days old. Who give a damn? This is 5 days in a row this stuff has been going on. Now they're doing protests all across the country from Chicago to New York. Still covering it with some rose-colored lens. And this is what I'm talking about when I said the media makes an attempt to control your perception. But reality isn't something you can negotiate with. It's something you observe. And everyone observing the reality is Democrats can't govern. And we're going to get more into the data right here because I think it's important to follow through with why immigrant citizens support the GOP on this, because they understand, I came here through the legal way. Most migrants in this country came here legally. Illegal migrants are the minority here. And the left likes to pretend that, somehow migrants are voting against their best. No, legal migrants are voting in their best interest. And the Democrats and the leftists, they do the same thing they do to black people, to migrants. They try to lump us all in together. Oh my God, look, the police are after black men. No, they're after black criminals. And just because this black man committed a crime doesn't mean I committed a crime. They're looking for us. No, they're looking for you. You the one who committed a crime. You the one who came into this country illegally. They're not looking for me. They're looking for you. And if they stop me, I give them my ID. I'm waiting on the sign. Oh, sorry, we got the wrong guy. Here you go, sir. Have a nice day. I'm out. But if they catch you, you going to jail. And it's the same thing. It's the same damn thing. They try to create this they try to blur the lines to try to lump as much people in an issue to garner sympathy. And the sympathy is falling on deaf ears because it goes back to my very firm premise, my political case, that many Americans feel like they're being taken advantage of. Legal migrants are starting to feel like they're being taken advantage of because legal migrants are used as shields to protect and make justifications for illegal migration. And that's the problem that a lot of Democrats are not seeing with their rhetoric and with their messaging. But I digress. Let's continue with the video.
Well, take a look, Donald Trump. You remember when he first ran back in 2016, immigrant voters were one of his weakest spots. But look at this. Trump's vote share in presidential election among, again, immigrant citizens, those who are registered to vote. Look at this. In 2016, he got 36% of the vote. You go to 2020, 39% of the vote. Look at this. In 2024, all the way up to 47% of the vote. Some polls I looked at had him barely losing that vote. Some polls I looked at had him barely winning that vote. Again, there is no block of voters that shifted more to the right from 2020 to 2024 than immigrant voters. And Donald Trump, at least in some surveys, actually won that vote. On average, it's about equal. So there may be all this stuff, right, about undocumented immigrants and Trump being harsh on them, but immigrant voters themselves have increasingly liked Donald Trump and have increasingly moved to the right on immigration and into the Republican camp.
Well, then on that, what you're getting at, how...
Because they realize, yo, if illegals keep coming in this country, like what was the point of me doing? Like, what was the point of me going through it the right way? There needs to be a consequence. There needs to be a punishment for doing that. Ask any person who came here legally. They'll have that. They're like, yo, they say, I'm waited 5 years just for this person to just, when they feel like they jump over and then somehow you allow them in and me, I did it the right way. You're punishing me. Show me the incentives. I'll show you the outcome. The legal migrants don't like this incentive that the Democratic Party is creating. The Democrats are too dumb, lacking common sense to realize what the hell they're saying. Through their actions, they're saying illegals matter more than legal migrants and American citizens. As I showed you in my clip in the middle of this video, stopping a black lady from going to work, American citizen going to work, disrupting her life, putting her kids at risk, putting her livelihood at risk for who? People who broke the laws of this country to be in here illegally.
How immigrant citizens, voters, feel about people in the country illegally.
Yeah, and this is where it all kind of comes together, Kate Baldwin. Look at this. The net favorable rating, immigrants who are here illegally, among immigrant citizens, again, those registered to vote. In 2020, look at this, plus 23 points on the net favorable rating. But look at where we were in 2024, minus 6 points, underwater. So immigrant citizens have become increasingly unfavorable in their views of those immigrants who are here illegally. So I think it's so important.
Like who needed a poll to tell you that? Who needed a poll? Honestly, I'm be honest. Who needed a poll to know that? Look what they've been doing for the last 4 years. Look what they did with Joe Biden under Joe Biden's administration, when you had illegals attacking NYPD officers and they was getting away with no cash bail. You had illegals bragging about how they can steal houses in New York because of squatter laws. Y'all don't remember those videos? When those videos were going viral online? In New York, 75% of crime happening in New York, the city, like downtown New York, was committed by illegals. Illegals had no respect for this country. And that's what drove their net favorability. Because the sob story that was sold to everybody was, oh my God, these illegals are just trying to work. They're just trying to be peaceful. They don't commit any laws, but everyone see them for who they are. Oh, you guys are opportunists. Oh, you guys are trying to take advantage of us. And once illegals proved that perception, it was a wrap for them. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. Once illegals prove that they're nothing more than opportunistic pricks who don't give a damn about the country, who have no respect for this country, that's when they lost. They lost the optic war right there and then. Entitled to this country, taking government programs, crowding out Americans and legal migrants that came here and did the things the right way. You crowding them out of resources and stuff, living off the system, paying zero taxes, most of you, paying zero to little taxes into the system, but you taking the most out of it. This is what I'm talking about when Americans feel like they've been taken advantage of. And legal migrants feel like they got taken the most advantage of because they're the main person used to shield these people from accountability. Oh, crossing the border illegally is only a misdemeanor. What's the punishment for that misdemeanor? Deportation. But you're preventing them from getting deported. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Democrats talking about it's not a crime. It's not a crime. Okay, let's send you back to your home country, the country you're so proud of waving the flag in foreign soil for. If you see yourself as Mexican, we'll put you back in Mexico. Bye. But you want to stay here. Take away from our resources. And you wonder why illegals' net favorability went down. because of the actions they themselves did. But I digress. Let me know your thoughts and perspective in the comment section below. I'll be interested to hear your take on illegal migrants, legal migrants, negative favorability on illegal migrants. And are you surprised? Are you shocked? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll be interested to hear what you have to say. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Please share this video if you feel so inclined. It really does help me out in the algorithm. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.